Before we start the show, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Their support keeps this show free for you.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Hi, Peace and Parenting listeners. This is Michelle, and I'm just here letting you all know that my sweet, sweet dad has passed away. And if you listen to the podcast at all, you know how much he meant to the girls and to me. And if you haven't listened to his episode, you should. It's an incredible one, and we'll link it in the show notes here. But I'm taking a small break from the podcast, but don't worry, we will be finding our most popular episodes and putting them out for you each week. I'll be back very soon, but I just wanted to take a break here to be with my family. So thank you very much for continuing to listen, and I'll be back soon. Hi, I'm Michelle, a mother of 2 teens. 13 years ago, I traded in punishments and rewards for connection. Now I prioritize relationship over behaviors, utilize play as a parenting tool, and set limits with empathy instead of consequences. Each week, I share my journey and interview clients, experts, and followers. Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Welcome to the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm Michelle, and I'm here with a guest today, Katie, and she is coming with her parenting questions, and I'm so excited to dive in. So Katie, thank you so much for being here. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me. I'm Katie. I'm from the UK, and I'm going to start with my question. I've got 3 young girls. They're 9, 7, and 3. So life is quite busy, quite hectic, and I work part-time in a school, so that kind of helps with school holidays, that type of thing. So we're together quite a lot. So we've just started doing special time, which they are really loving, and it's really nice to see. I'm kind of struggling a little bit with the play aspect of finding the balance between previously not having that involvement in play with them and starting that off. And because they're quite full on, quite hyper, they really getting into it. So they're quite boisterous as well. So it's like, whoa, okay. But the one question I've got is just on special time, and we did start doing it before bedtime, which I've since realised isn't perhaps the right thing to do, because it's the wind down. It's knowing when to stop. And although we set an Alexa timer and it says, we talk about beforehand, so this is what we're going to do, and this is you choose, and you do what you want to do. Usually it's like a game like Simon Says or I Spy or something like that, or whatever they want to do. Yeah. But it's the stopping that we are struggling with a little bit, because they just want to carry on, and they want to carry on, they don't want it to end.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do we get to this point where we mutually agree that it's going to end, and they're happy with that, and we feel satisfied? Because I feel that they have responded really well to special time. Particularly my middle daughter, who wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. She's in the top bunk, so it was really hard to get her out of bed. She just would not get out of bed before school. And so I suggested special time, and she was up like this, straight out. And, we were out 5 minutes and she was dressed.
We like that. We like that.
So it was really just how we kind of can, work with that a little bit better.
I think this is a common. How long? By the way, how long have you been doing special time? Let's start there.
Probably about 2 weeks, something like that. So not very long, but enough for them to notice, actually, because the last few days we've gone a little bit by the wayside, and I've noticed my youngest daughter, who's 3. She said one of the girls he saw did something, that they were vile to each other during an episode, and she just went, "Mommy, she needs lots of kisses."
So cute.
Get her with kisses, and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
that's so cute." So you're also using the idea of play to come with when you're having a hard time. So you're using that tool too, which is really good. And are using the idea of empathy when things are hard, they're having a hard time, you come to them with empathy.
Yeah. Which feels strange, to be honest, because you automatically, it's almost about, no, you don't do that. And the controlling nature that I'm trying to undo, it's quite hard to get your head around, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts over the last couple of weeks, and, I'm really on board with that method. And they are as well. And as I say, the last few days, I've really noticed that they've sort of come back to me and challenged me back and said, well, why aren't we doing this? We've not been doing it that long, but it's enough for them to notice.
Yeah, and it's enough. Well, two things. One, you must be doing a great job at it because they want it, right?
Yeah.
So kudos to you. And two, they know they need and want it. So is a good indicator that you're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't it can't be perfect either. Special time will never be perfect. No. And that's okay. The reason I ask about the other things, because oftentimes people will come in and they'll just do special time and they won't do the empathy or the play, or they will still be using punishments and they'll still be using threats and bribes. And then it becomes difficult to have a child relax in special time because it's the only connection piece they're getting. But it sounds like your kids are getting the other pieces of connection. The other thing is you've only been doing it 2 weeks. So you're still just an infant in this special time world.
Yeah.
And they're worried, right? And they're nervous that it's scarce, right? Oh, is she going to do it tomorrow? I don't know, because we haven't been doing it that long, but I know I really want it. So then when you give it to them, they're like, no, I don't want it to be over because I don't know if I'm going to get it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, it won't feel so scarce. If you're consistent with it, they will be able to rest in the idea like, oh, well, I'm not so worried about it stopping because I know I'm going to get mine tomorrow.
That's it. I can see that. And it did feel a little bit like, oh, well, I bet we don't get it tomorrow. Or, it's almost like, well, okay, I'm under pressure, so we've got to fit it in somehow. And, good.
Yeah. And with 3 kids, you might say, okay, are you doing the full 20 minutes?
No, it started off as 5 minutes, and then that obviously wasn't enough because they really enjoyed that time. And I noted that before bed it just wasn't working because they were hyped up before bed then, and it was getting them to a point where they just didn't want it to end. And then it was, we've got to draw a line under it somewhere because you've got to go to bed. And it's then trying to find it throughout the day as to when we can find that time with them,
5 minutes might not be enough. And that might be part of the reason that they're having a hard time stopping. 20 minutes is ideal.
Yeah.
If you could do 15, I think that would be better. And maybe they would feel more nourished and more connected and doing better. So they'd be more willing to say, okay, I'll let my sister do it. The other part of it is that it's okay for them to be upset that it's over.
Yeah.
That's disappointment, and that's part of life. And when they're upset, do you have a hard time when they're upset?
Yeah, it can be because they're very loud, they're very boisterous. And so it's just a bit like, oh my gosh, how do we, there's been lots of cuddles, lots of kind of, trying to help them emotionally and deal with that. And, they're starting to compete with each other a little bit for my attention. And so they get a little bit pushy with each other and a little bit much. My eldest is at a funny age where she's kind of like, attitude and, walking around, trying to find her way in the world. And, they're clashing of personalities as well, which isn't really helping. But they're finding their way and I'm there trying to help them and smooth things out. I feel like I'm just smoothing things over all the time, I know they've got to have these emotions to deal with, but then because they're so loud, it's a bit like, okay, let's just split you up and try and deal with this. And then it just seems to escalate and not really settle down, if you like. So it just feels like they're constantly either best friends or they hate each other, which is normal. And I know that's totally normal, especially for siblings. They're very close in age.
Yeah. Well, maybe, okay. So two things. So one is the special time part of it. And that when they have an upset at the end and they're saying, no, I don't want to stop, mommy. I don't want you to go to my sister's special time or whatever it is they're saying. Can we be present and let them have their feelings and be okay with it, even if it takes some time? And the calmer we are and more connected they are, they might still be upset, but they are going to get through it more easily with our support and our help. So can we just be right with them and say, I'm sorry that it's over. I understand you're really upset. Special time is so fun. I loved having special time with you today. I can't wait to do it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then just be present and listening. They might get through it a bit faster, and it will be easier the more you do it, the more you listen to the big feelings. But I think that it's normal and it's okay if they're upset. You just have to get to a place. When you were a kid, were you allowed to have your feelings?
Probably not, no. And I think that's probably where it comes from. Is I was the youngest of, there was 6 years between me and my sister. So there's quite a big gap really growing up. And whilst the 6 years between my eldest and my youngest, they seem quite close compared to how we were growing up. So we were always of the view of it was children were seen and not heard, so if family came over, it was upstairs, go and play in your room, that type of thing, So, and as much as my parents would be mortified, today, because they're really keen to be on board with this method as well. That's the way they were brought up, So it's all the preconditioning that, we are trying to unpick, really. So, and they understand that, but
yeah, I think probably it's like overwhelming when you hear the feelings because you're like, wait, this is wrong. We're not supposed to have feelings. Like it needs to stop. You have to stop emoting. Like it's too boisterous. It's too much.
Yeah.
When in actuality, it's probably just kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. It's just kids, isn't it?
They're I think getting okay with them having big feelings, like getting to a place where that doesn't bother you. Or getting to a place where you're like, you know what? They're just feelings. I'm not going to die. No one's, this isn't a state of emergency. I don't have to put them in their rooms and tell them to be quiet. I can just be in the feelings. But that's a hard place to get when we weren't allowed to have our own. We grew up in houses that were supposed to be quiet. Yeah. And so for us, it's dysregulating because it seems, wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are going to take a short break from our show to hear from our sponsors. Without their sponsorship, I wouldn't be able to bring you the Peace and Parenting podcast free of charge. So I'll see you back in just a few minutes. Are you a mom who feels like you're juggling it all, but something just feels off? It could also be your hormones causing this chaos. Hormone Harmony contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. Now, here's the beauty of adaptogens. They help the body adapt to any stressors like chaotic hormonal changes that happen naturally throughout a woman's life. That's why Hormone Harmony is perfect for women of all ages who are struggling with life-disrupting symptoms such as PMS, like irritability, moodiness, discomfort, or uncontrollable cravings, and menopause with symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats. The results are impressive. There are over 40,000 reviews on their website. Women cannot stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. So for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code PEACE. Check out happymammoth.com. Use the code PEACE for 15% off today. Are you sick of the sibling fighting? Are you tired of asking your child to do the same thing over and over and over again, only to end up using threats and bribes to try to get them to cooperate? Well, it doesn't have to be like that. You can learn the ideas of connection through our Connected Parent Mastermind group coaching program. We meet 3 days a week. Myself and my 2 coaches hold meetings. We also give you access to all of my online materials, meaning 10 modules of instruction, PDFs, podcasts, and my book. You get to join our school community and interact with coaches and myself and so many parents who are doing this work just alongside you. So if you're feeling stuck, or if you want to accelerate your connected parenting practice even further, join the Connected Parent Mastermind. Click the link in the show notes for more information. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. Now back to the show. The other thing that I was thinking of, and I can't remember what you were talking about before, but I wanted to touch on, the idea of the sibling rivalry. So I think there's likely two things going on here. There's I don't want to stop special time because I need my time. Mm-hmm. And then it sounds like there's this idea of there's some sibling rivalry going on, which is totally common and normal for sibling. Yeah. But that it's, you can treat sibling rivalry in a connected way too, that will help de-escalate sibling rivalry. So it might help the special time go better, because part of it could be like, I don't want my sister to have it because I'm having beef with her and I don't want her to have the mommy time.
Yeah.
And that's totally normal. But I think if we can come to when they are upset with their sisters, can we say to them, what happened? What's going on? Can we get the story without saying, don't hit your sister. You're not supposed to do this. You can't do that. The rules are these. Instead of correcting, can we come in with neutrality and say, oh my gosh, you guys, you're having a hard time. What happened here? And have them just explain their stories. And can we listen and create this neutral ground to where we're not picking a perpetrator, we're not picking a victim, we're just listening to the story. That will help increase some of the upsets between them.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I feel my middle daughter, who is always the one that tends to be the pusher and the hitter and the kicker and all of that, she's actually responded the best to special time, I think. And, particularly the morning situation when getting her dressed and getting her out of the house was really hard work. When we did that, she just lifted straight away. So there was obviously some connection that was missing in the morning. And it could be that she just needed to just have to be heard, and just connecting in that way. And, it's such a busy house in the morning trying to get out of the house, and always being brought up with, I need to get out on time. And I feel like I'm always late, and, it's always rushing out the door. And,
there's a lot of pressure for parents not to be late. I mean, I feel like everybody I speak to, most of my clients will say, well, we have to get to school on time. I mean, that is like the utmost importance. And when we feel that pressure, it kind of oozes out in our parenting. And then our kids feel it. And then it's hard to get them to do the things we want to get them to do, because we're not in this place where we're being calm and connected.
Yeah. Everything's time pressured, everything.
Yeah.
So, you just feel it's just constantly at the back of your head as well.
I tell my clients to get up early. I know it's horrible and nobody wants to hear that. But when you do get up early and then you incorporate special time, or you incorporate play, or you incorporate something connected in the mornings, it makes brushing your teeth easier. It makes getting out the door easier, because kids, they're asleep for 8 or 10 hours and they're disconnected. Yeah. And so when they wake up, they want connection. And then we shove them into a list of things to do instead. Eat, get dressed, get your stuff together, get in the car. And it's like, where's the connection piece in there?
Yeah, totally. Totally get that. Yeah.
So you can play like little games in the morning. You could do a thumb war with each of them that just would take like 3 to 5 minutes. You could do a staring contest. You could do really simple little things that will make life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Was also said to me today, she said, where's fun mommy gone? And I was like, oh no.
She's sleeping right now. She's tired and she's had enough, and fun mommy is not here. As Mika said to me today, or so not today, I don't know why I said today, but she said to me years ago, I like it when you're the nice mommy. I like it when I'm that mommy too. Sometimes I just can't access her. She's buried somewhere.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, you do feel a little bit like you just need to get back to that space. And I think, like listening to the podcast really help, because it's almost like a daily coaching session, even though some of them are quite short, some of them are a bit longer.
Yeah.
It's really helped me and choosing relevant ones for us, because I think, that's relevant. And each one goes, that's relevant. It really is for us. So it's been really, really helpful.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I think so too. I need to listen to or read or experience something
about kids every day. And it helps me stay grounded in what I'm doing, because we live in a society that doesn't value this kind of parenting. They really don't, and it's hard to stay on your path. So good.
Yeah.
Keeping
it's hard with the sort of school situation, because they are very much promoting rewards and sticker charts and that type of thing. And I listened to the one podcast and it was something like that. I was thinking, it's so right that it's just not relevant really anymore, is it? And my one daughter comes home, she's got a sticker on her top, and she said, I've got to gold today. And they do this gold silver thing where they go up, and she's always on gold because she's always so well behaved. She's frightened to put her foot wrong. Yes. So she does so well. But when she comes home, it's almost like she releases all of that pent-up frustration at home.
100%.
We get it all at home.
Yes. So. I see that all the time with my own kids. Not so much now that they're older, but I see it with my clients' kids all the time, that we have these kids that are so perfect at school. And then they'll come home and just need to get it out.
Yeah.
Need to make a mistake, need to release. And then it makes it hard on us.
Yeah, it really does, because then you're dealing with the aftermath and you're trying to deal with dinner and everything else. And it's like, oh my gosh, and it's all coming out now. So.
And it's hard too, because we come from families where we weren't allowed to emote. We were not played with. We did not have playful parents. And so we come to parenting with all this stuff we learned, no fault of our own parents. They didn't, they just didn't know. I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know really. And it just makes it harder to do the things that we want to do, because we're almost fighting against our ingrained patterns. So
that's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It is hard, because, conversations with my parents, with my husband, and, talking about approaching it in a different way. I can see they're like, the lights are on and they're listening, and I totally get it. And then you'll see that little pull when they do something or say something, and it's like, oh, just stop.
Yeah.
Please stop.
We just had the conversation. Don't you remember?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it takes a while. It takes a long while. And especially our parents, they've got deeply ingrained, neural pathways and ideals and everything. And it's almost impossible for them to change sometimes, I think.
Yeah. But, so with the special time, just going back to that, sorry, would you say that bedtime is perhaps not the best time to do it? Would you just say try and do it earlier on in the day?
No, sometimes I recommend it at night, because it helps going to bed earlier. I think what's happening is that the tantrums are probably the hard thing for you, that you're like, I don't want to have these big feelings at night because we're trying to get to bed. And I can see that. So if that is the case, then maybe try to do it during the day. But I don't think those big feelings are bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really aren't. They can be super connective too. If you can come to them with lots of empathy, they're actually might help a kid sleep better. They might help them settle better. They might help them feel more connected and do better at night in general, if you do have the special time at night. But if it's too much and everybody's tantruming and everybody's upset, then yes, move it.
Yeah. Okay.
But you might be able to move it back after a while. After like several months of doing it, they might be secure enough in the fact that they're going to get it that you can put it wherever you want.
Yeah, so they don't use it against you, as in you're not going to do it because it's so much of a routine now that it's just the norm. And, as much as eating breakfast is, it's just the same, isn't it? So,
yes.
Yeah.
When they can get there, then you have some ease around it. And they're not worried that they aren't going to get it next time, so they don't hold on to it so desperately.
Yeah.
And when you can increase the time to be more, I think you'll find that more effective. If you want to keep it at night, I would start earlier, knowing and being ready for those meltdowns.
Yeah.
I think when we know they're coming and we understand, okay, this thing is going to happen. I know I'm going to get pushback. I know I'm going to get a tantrum and I'm prepared for it. Sometimes it's easier to get through them instead of hoping and praying, oh my gosh, I hope they don't have a meltdown. Oh, I hope they just say, yes, I'm done with special time.
Yeah.
You're like praying that happens. And all of a sudden, everyone's screaming and it's like, why did I think this was going to go the other way? If you just assume the worst, which actually isn't bad. In my opinion, that's a good thing because they're offloading feelings and they're able to process and you're able to be there and be empathic and that creates connection. It's actually a beautiful thing if you can let go of feeling rushed. If you can let go of the idea that these feelings are not okay.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, actually, is letting go of that, because I feel like at the back of my mind, there's always something else. There's always something else going on, or always something else to do, or always someone else to deal with, or always someone else to see. And my special time is when they're all in bed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I sit, and that's my, like,
Yeah.
what do I do now? And so kind of like letting go of that.
Yeah.
A friend of mine recently said to me, I think I just, on the way to school, I just get ready and I just accept that I'm going to be late. So just have to accept I'm going to be late. And it's that acceptance is that you feel guilty for work, you feel guilty for school. And it's all this kind of like big feelings for us as well. We have to deal with. We're actually, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter, does it? So,
yes. And if you do let go, I was a on-time freak. Yeah. And when like your friend said to myself, you know what, I'm going to be late today. I was never late, but I was calmer because I wasn't working so hard to try to be on time. And they can feel that. I really believe they can feel us like rushing and pushing and trying to get everyone on time, either to bed or to school or whatever it is. Yeah. And it makes it harder. But it's hard because you want your special time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then you want them to go to sleep, and then if they wake up early, you think, oh, you haven't had enough sleep, you're grouchy and moody, you need to go to bed earlier. It's just constant, battle all the time.
Those feelings, getting out those feelings will help them sleep better.
Yeah,
it really will. It definitely will.
I guess the one thing that we do struggle with is my youngest daughter. So she's 3, and she's sort of like quite easy most of the time, but she gets on really well with both the oldest 2, and she's got quite a close bond with the middle one, even though the middle one's quite jealous of her because she's now no longer the youngest. So she'll say that quite often. She'll say, I'm not the youngest anymore. And do you remember the days before when I was the youngest? And talk quite fondly of it. And I know she loves her. She really, really loves her because they're very good together, but they can fight quite a lot. And she's double the size of her, and concerns me sometimes the way she can be quite boisterous with her and rough with her. And, that's when I feel like I'm stepping in, literally parting them, stop, because one's done something, she's flicked her and the other one's hit her back. But it's almost like because she's so much more smaller, when she hits her, she'll hit her quite hard, and it worries me then, because I think obviously I want them to get over it in their own way, but at the same time I don't want anyone to be really badly hurt because she's so much smaller than the middle one, and so it's kind of like, how do you help them but also stop that, not stop it because you can't stop it, how do you kind of work with them to avoid that, if you like? That can be quite challenging.
Yeah, it is challenging. Have you listened to my sibling rivalry podcast?
I've listened to that, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a course too. There's an online course, sibling rivalry online course. It's really good.
Okay.
And there's a guide. It's called the Sibling Rivalry Protocol. So I will send you all 3 of those.
Oh, perfect.
I'm going to summarize just a quick summary of what you can do for siblings.
Yeah.
So number 1, you already said it. You don't try to leave them alone too much, because if they're fighting a lot, we want to be really close by. When you do hear something, come in right away. And instead of saying, stop, don't hit, don't do, don't da, 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 because that can cause some shame, just come in physically and just separate them. You don't need to say anything. And then let them calm down a minute. And then say to them, what happened? Say to one of them, child A, what happened? And she'll say, she pushed me. She did this. She did that. And you can empathize. Oh my gosh, she pushed you. Oh, you guys are having such a hard time. I'm sorry I didn't get here. This is a good one. I'm sorry I didn't get here fast enough to keep you safe. Then you say to the other one, what happened? And she'll say, well, she took my toy, so I pushed her, and X, Y, and Z, and she's so mean. And you can say, wow, this is so hard. I'm right here. I'm hearing everything you're saying. I understand. And now everyone feels heard.
Yeah.
You can stop right there if you want. You don't need to go anywhere else, because the damage is done. The middle one has hit or kicked or pushed the baby. Now, who knows what the baby did to her to create this? We don't know. And we don't need to know, because this is their relationship, but we don't want to take sides, because when we take sides, so what often happens is the oldest kid will hurt the younger kid, and the oldest kid will constantly be in trouble. And when the older kid is constantly in trouble, then it creates more resentment toward the younger child because they feel like the parent is on the younger child's side.
Yeah.
And when they feel that, now they're more angry and more apt to hurt them more often.
Yeah.
So when we can create a neutral ground, we will decrease the amount of time the older kid goes after the younger child. And that's what we really want to do, is try to level the playing ground. You can also come into this with the older child and take their hand and say, oh, somebody needs a lot of kisses if they're hitting their sisters. Oh, those hitty little hands need kisses. Let me see those kicky feet. I'm going to call the operator. And you turn it into play.
Yeah.
And without correcting. She knows she's not supposed to kick or hit or bite her sister or whatever she's doing. She knows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's no need to point it out to her because it just creates more animosity. So that's it in a nutshell. But you can read the guide too. It gives you all the steps. And you can take the course. It's a 1-hour course where I go through a bunch of different stuff for sibling rivalry and all kinds of different situations. And that might be good too. And then just keep practicing it.
Yeah. There'll be plenty of time to practice.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. With 3 girls. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm so excited that you've only doing this like 2 weeks and you're already like doing so well and getting it all and taking it all in and trying it all, which is not easy.
Yeah, I really feel like it's definitely, the approach that we want to take, having younger children, hopefully we can start to turn things around for us. It's still that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm rewarding them. I'm not rewarding them.
Yes.
I'm loving them, when they've done something. And you really got to stop yourself, haven't you? Because in the back of your mind, it's saying, I shouldn't be doing this because it feels like I'm rewarding it. But every time I've hugged them and I've loved them and I've given them the time, it's been better. So why am I struggling with that setup? Why is it feel so unnatural?
We've been told we've been told like, control them. They're evil. They don't know morality. You have to teach them by punishing them and shaming them into it. And if you don't, they're going to be crazy, immoral, terrible people.
How will they ever know if you don't tell them? How will they ever know? Yeah. And, and I said to my own mother last week, I said, look, they know that it's right or wrong. They know that they shouldn't be doing it, and it is really, really true because they'll very quickly say sorry, and without me having to ask, or they'll just realise straight away. So they do know, but it's just that feeling of having to tell them that you just need to just, like say, let go of, just drop it, just let them be, and they'll be a lot happier for it. But you've got some great advice, so I'm taking a lot on what you said.
Take it, and now you can listen to the podcast over and over, and it help you moving forward. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. I very much appreciate it. Thanks for everybody out there who's listening. Thanks for joining us on the Peace and Parenting podcast, everyone. And we will see you next time.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
When we started writing our thoughts down on paper, it opened up endless possibilities. Ideas could grow beyond the borders of the mind, and it changed the world. Somewhere along the way, we lost touch with paper, distracted by devices made for every purpose except for thinking and focus. On edge, waiting for the next notification. But what if new technology didn't pull us away from paper, but brought us closer to it? Listen. That's not paper. It's the sound of the new Remarkable Paper Pro, rewriting the future. A paper tablet with a true color ink display, gentle reading light, and unheard of tactility. With digital features for taking notes, thinking, and organizing, without any distractions. Paper is about to change the world again. Get your paper tablet at remarkable.com today.